Well, good afternoon. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca. I want to thank you for being on the Connect and Learn, a series for entrepreneurs. Looking forward to this portion of it. Always do with the panels. Great to talk about current topics, what's happening, issues that entrepreneurs are facing. And you can always post any questions that you have for the panelists. If somebody says something that you want some clarification on, just put them in the event or the stage, and I will moderate the panels as well. So if you have any questions, I'll ask those questions to the panel. Let me know who you want me to ask it to if you can, and we'll go from there. So well, let's go one by one here and start with Sunandini Verma. So Sunandini is founder and CEO at Amrev Media. So Sunandini, thanks for being on here. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you do, your company, your life as an entrepreneur?
My life as an entrepreneur these days. Not much of a life these days. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and chat with everyone. So yeah, we're Amrev Media. We're an ad tech agency. So essentially we do development for apps, e-commerce, software, and then we actually help you go live to market. So that's the marketing and the advertising aspect of it. My life as an entrepreneur is full of freedom and excitement. Of course, ups and downs, but it's great. I really enjoy what I do, and I'm really lucky to get opportunities like this as a part of being an entrepreneur. I think the key for me is staying balanced and organized. I think that helps me accomplish as much as possible.
Terrific. Well, thanks again for being on. Claudia Marion is founder and CEO at KITE, founder and president Stork and Dove and Boons brands. Thanks very much for being on here, Claudia. And your microphone is muted, so we're gonna have to, yeah. There you go.
I'm glad somebody had to do it. It was me. Yeah, I'm Claudia Marion, and as Marc said, I founded Stork and Dove at KITE, and Boons brand is a continuation of Stork and Dove, actually. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I've worked in tea, specialist food, I've had cafes, but in the past 10 years, I've been very much brand focused in CPG. So at Stork and Dove, we make products for new and expecting moms, and we're extending that into better for you products that she wants. And also through KITE, we make adaptogenic sparkling teas. They're organic, they're steeped in goodness, and literally steeped teas. They're pretty awesome. I have 4 kids, and keeping balance in my life these days with COVID. A 6-year-old homeschooling, and the others universitying from home has been a bit tricky, but we're getting on with it. Yeah, it's a new kind of balance. It's a little bit skewed, but we're getting there. That's
wow.
Me.
4 kids. Wow, that must be really tough during COVID times for sure.
Well, it's exciting.
I can imagine. Yeah, well, hey, entrepreneurs juggle a lot of things, and family and business and work. Wow, that's fantastic. So thanks for being on. And so I will now introduce Jenn Harper, who's founder and CEO of Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics, Inc. So Jenn, thanks for being on here as well, and talk a little bit about you and your business and what's been going on in your world.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm the founder and CEO at Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics, Inc., and we are a digitally native, so direct-to-consumer cosmetics brand in the color category. And we are on a mission to just create the most incredible, epic, sustainable products that exist on the planet. And we are really tapping into our indigenous roots, harnessing what we call, our people were truly the original, the OGs of sustainably. We make up 5% of the population, but indigenous people are protecting 80% of the world's biodiversity. So we're going real deep and finding out why that is and how we can actually, replicate the perfection that we find in nature and use science to make some incredible color cosmetics. We are super excited because this year we finally moved into a bigger space and we're building a lab, and we hired our first full-time cosmetic chemist. We'd been relying on contract work for the first few years of our brand, but now really going to own all of the R&D that we're working on. And so super, super excited about the direction and the vision of the brand and company that we have been creating. And I, too, am a mom of 2 teenagers and just have come to terms that there is no such thing as balance. So being honest, grabbing that mirror and just looking at myself and realize that the trying to achieve it all these years felt impossible. So we're just going to go with it.
Excellent. Wow. That's a lot as well to juggle. And so where are you located then, Jenn?
We're in the Niagara region. So
Niagara.
St. Catharines. Literally, we can see you, but you can't see us because we don't have a giant skyline.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks for being on here. Now, hopefully we can get the technical glitches out. We have Eileen Zhu, founder and CEO, HeHe Match, Connect Soulmates Innovatively, and HeHe Design for Dream Home. So, Eileen, you can hear us. Can you? Your microphone is muted as well, from what I can see. So I think we have some problems because I think she's frozen there. So I think we might have some problems, but thanks, Eileen, for being on here. Hopefully we can get those figured out before the next 25 minutes or so. So coming back to you, Sunandini, obviously COVID is the story of the last 10, 11 months now. It's impacted everybody in one way or another, whether it's personally or business. But from a business perspective, what's happened in your business? How have you coped? What are the changes that are taking place and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's been good for my business because I think everyone has realized that I need to digitize my business quickly, and a lot of companies were not ready to do so. So for us, it was a really big opportunity in the sense that let's get as many people online as possible. I think the downside for us has definitely been on the marketing side because suddenly all the marketing budgets were cut. People are like, we don't need more traffic because we're not ready to have more customers come in, whether on our website or in our actual physical retail stores. So on that side, it kind of balances out. Where I've found it very difficult is the networking aspect. So it's great that platforms like this exist where you guys have created an opportunity for everyone to get to know each other and connect on a deeper level, because a big part of my business is going to trade shows. Like I go to 10, 15 a year, pick up every card that I can and, literally just call everybody. And that's how we generate a lot of new business for the upcoming year or so. With technology, the projects are longer, and as a company, they keep us very aligned with our goals when we do the trade show. So that's definitely been a challenge. But I think once we hit that 5-6 month mark into COVID, a lot of people started pivoting as to how do we really do this? It seems like it's going to be around for a longer period than we anticipated. So it was awesome to find platforms like yours and opportunities like this where we can actually speak and connect with businesses in the community and outside of the community. The cool part is also you're not limited now to a trade show. You can also connect with people in, Europe and Australia within a virtual space. So that's where the pivot has happened for us. The work culture has always been work from home for my company. I work with developers and they like to work at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., etc. So I don't like to micromanage as long as the task gets done. So for me, that aspect didn't really change, just my own personal routine of not having anywhere to go. That's been definitely challenging. But on the business side, we're trying to pivot where we can and focus on getting companies online and enhancing their technological experience for their end-to-end customer as well.
Terrific. Yeah. And how many employees do you have? You mentioned some developers.
Yeah, so we've got a team of 17 and mostly full of contractors. So we hire based on the project. And the main reason for that is based on the requirement, because if we're rolling out an app in a specific language, it doesn't make sense for us to have, a social media consultant or let's say a UX UI designer specifically for that project. So it really depends on the project, and they usually last about a year. So it's always like contract work based on a year or a year and a half, depending on the requirement.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, a lot of good stuff going on there.
Yeah, fun.
Claudia, how about yourself? Like COVID impact, better, worse, no impact?
Definitely, it's had impact. I've been in the U.S. market for some time. So at the beginning of it, we didn't show such an effect because their small stores basically, nothing closed down for a very long time in America. And things started to. I'm in HEB in Texas, so they had big lockdowns for a while. So I started feeling that. And a lot of them had been online, so that was interesting. But there was such a big drive to Amazon. So what I lost in the smaller stores, I certainly picked up on the Amazon side in the US and Canada. In Canada, yeah, I achieved my goals for a Stork and Dove last year. I was just short of them, and that really was down to the fact that all of the independent retailers, were closed at one point or another for 2 to 3 months at least. So that wasn't great. But I've kept on with the business. KITE actually launched. We launched at the end of February. So KITE, it's fascinating because it was actually the most timely product to be launched, because KITE's all about balance and wellness. So we have products named Rise. We have a Rise, Align, and Unwind, and so people went deeper into their wellness. I mean, like the example is you can go into an office where they're surrounded by a load of people, and you're keeping up with them. So you're drinking coffee and shooting it back. You do that in the house when you've got like 4 kids underfoot, or even one, like that's crazy. Or even if you're just working in the same room with your partner and there's no kids about, it's, you're that edginess that you get that used to be an edge in the office. It's just edgy and you're not feeling so great about it. So people making different choices, wellness focused choices. And I found that, I like to in the micro experience. So like KITE is a micro experience. You can do it in the 4 walls of your home. And I think that that's really helped for KITE, because people are searching for new things and spending a little bit more money on the groceries. So although we launched at the end of February 2020, right into the pandemic, and all of the, like with huge energy behind it. Everybody was wanting to pick up KITE, and then the distributors who were wanting to pick us up came to us and said, well, we're not bringing you on until 2021 because really it's just essentials. We're only focusing on the essentials now. So trying to kind of keep up momentum and keep the spirit up. We used it as it sounds cheesy, but we actually used it as a time to reflect and a time to try and think of like the opportunity that will come after. Certainly it's been tough. We did, do give backs and such to support, the folks who are still on the street and, sending to hospitals and stuff. And that was it shouldn't have been a wave, but we saw a lot of that at the beginning, and it's ongoing, but we're not seeing as much of that anymore. But we are still sending. We're just doing it because we should help where possible. But using it as a time to reflect, and I don't think it was. The pandemic's unfortunate, but as for our business, having that extra bit of time to really get work through the systems that support the business and think a lot more about them and think a lot more about our online process. We did build a new website. We took down our old. So yeah, it gave a little bit of time. And now we're full on onboarding. People, I think, see the light at the end of the tunnel. And so definitely we're going in differently, because as was said, we don't have the trade shows and stuff. We don't have sampling opportunities. And a lot of the stores are still not looking to onboard anything new. So we're going in for the low hanging fruit and, just trying to get out there as much as possible. It's turned like there's no convention, there's no what you should do right now in terms of onboarding. So it's actually been kind of good. I mean, it certainly for new brands. At the beginning, I thought, oh no, we'll never be seen because there's going to be tons of money going behind the big brands. But I haven't seen that happening, I think, because people are actually seeking out a difference right now like they've never done before.
Excellent. How many people do you have? How many employees do you have?
We have 3 on each. KITE has 3, and Stork and Dove has 3. We actually grew by 1 employee this year. So yeah, just our logistics team. But because we're sending out more, through direct to consumer, and also just to deal with the Amazon orders, we do FBA, which is we send it on to Amazon, but there's a lot of back end extra, so that just to kind of stop the customer if there's any issue from going to Amazon or putting on terrible ratings and stuff. So we're kind of always thinking about navigating that, and that actually takes a little bit more work. So
that's great. So if you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I'm joined by Claudia, Marion, founder and CEO at KITE, founder and president Stork and Dove and Boons brands. Jenn Harper, founder and CEO of Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics Inc. and Sunandini Verma, founder and CEO at Amrev Media. So Jenn, what about you? The last 9-10 months impacted positively, negatively, no impact, pivoting? What's going on in your organization?
Well, just to set the stage and be super clear, this is the first business I ever built and have no idea what I'm doing from the beginning, even until now. So I really don't have much to compare everything that's happening with us. But this year was our best year yet in terms of revenue hires. We went from 4 people last year to 16 now. And just in this real intense growth phase. And so we're still, all of us, trying to figure out where we fit in and how we're going to continue to keep growing, because that's really, I guess, the important part, right? To figure that all that stuff out. But I really think, it's timing is everything in history. It's never been a more beautiful time to be an Indigenous woman in business. I am a brown woman living in a super white industry world that has created a brand that has been solidly about adding some representation to an industry that has never paid attention to Indigenous people. And we exist to give back to our community. So proudly, we gave back over $100,000 this year to all kinds of First Nation, Inuit, Métis causes across North America. Got clean drinking water and solar power to a family on the Navajo reservation, planted trees in California and Ontario. So throughout all of this growth, we've been able to be super, super clear and on our mission, which always has been, empowering and enhancing the lives of Indigenous youth while we craft these incredible cosmetics. And just, much like Claudia said, there's this point in the beginning where you're super fearful, you have no idea what's going on, but it really just reaffirmed to me that humans, we really never know what's really going on. To be honest, we don't have control of a crap load of stuff, and it's about time that we get rid of our egos and realize that. And specifically speaking, let's stop making things that are, negatively impacting all of our lives, including environmentally and the human side of it in terms of our community. So how can we be a part of that in fixing and solving those problems as small businesses? So I think it's an incredible time to have a business, start a business, and really pivot towards thinking about the things that we can do to make the world we live in a better place.
That's great. That's fantastic. Wow. That's where do I start with that? That's phenomenal growth, first of all. I mean, the number of employees growth that you've had, being super honest and transparent. Hey, that you're just starting up and you're not really sure what to do, because all entrepreneurs go through that at some point or another. Mm-hmm. Is there anything, a website that you want to plug for the Indigenous side? Anything that you want to direct people to? Anything like that?
Yeah, if you don't love makeup and want to support some great causes, the organization that we've been supporting from the beginning, it's called the First Nation Child, Family and Caring Society. And the funds that we direct help in this huge funding gap that exists from kids that have to go to school on reservation versus kids that go to school in whether it be Toronto or the Niagara region. My kids here get this, enormous funding amount, whereas my nieces and nephews are getting 30 to 50% less for no particular reason. It's just this like battle between provincial and federal government. But in the meantime, how does that make Indigenous kids feel knowing that this is purposefully happening to them, that their education doesn't matter? We need to foster a love for learning for all kids in Canada. And so I think Cindy's organization, it's called the FNCaringSociety.com. So if people are so inclined, I'm sure they would appreciate any sort of donations coming their way.
Terrific. And have you found that the government, local, municipal, federal, provincial, whatever, do they have programs that you've been tapping into, or whether it's for Indigenous or otherwise, that you've been being able to use as part of your growth?
For I don't think I can publicly announce it, but we have an innovation grant that we won and have been awarded, which is specifically for Indigenous businesses in the innovation sector. So that I believe will be announced in March. And that's the only thing. IRAP gratefully had IRAP support last year, but I built this with my own cash. Started it with $500, never took any government money, worked my ass off for 25 years to build enough money to start a business.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, congratulations on the success. That's fantastic. Sunandini, why don't we talk about a little bit about technology? And by the way, if anybody has any questions that you want to ask the panel, feel free to put them in the chat, whether it's in the event or the stage, and I will moderate them as well. And Sarah just also mentioned Jenn, that fantastic. Love hearing stories like that. So that's great. You got some support there as well. So Sunandini, maybe technology, how's technology impacted, whether it's social media, whether it's your tools, Zoom or FaceTime, Skype, whatever, any technology that you're using that you think maybe entrepreneurs should be aware of, or that's helped you in your business?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually signed up for Lunch Club last year, if you guys have heard of it. It's basically, it sets you up with an entrepreneur and you guys have like a lunch meeting, and that's helped me quite a bit. And I really, really recommend it because it's a very cool way to meet different entrepreneurs and get your business out there, share your concepts, kind of what you're working on. You never know who knows who. And I really believe in that. I believe in like knowing the right people. It's all about relationships to make your business grow. And then vice versa for them as well, right? Of course, Zoom has become the new language. Like, it's not even referred to as let's have a meeting. It's referred to let's hop on Zoom. Let's have a Zoom meeting. So that's really interesting from a technological perspective because they branded themselves in such a prominent way right when COVID hit that it was like Zoom is the thing to go to, right? They did certain things from a technological perspective, like change your background. They were the first people to do it, or minimize the audio chit chatter behind you. So certain things like that made Zoom stand out a lot. And then everybody got into it. Even Uber has Uber Conference, and there's a million. Every day there's a new one that comes out, and I'm like, I can't keep up. But I really like what Zoom did essentially. And of course, everybody into the stock market probably watched that stock go right up. And I wish I invested in it. I didn't think that this would happen, right? Other things that I've seen a really big change in, I've noticed that people are actually minimizing their use on social media for, I think, a lot of different reasons. I think for mental health, there's a lot constantly being bombarded at us, and so many things have happened in the last year. It's not just COVID. There's fear from so many different angles. And as a colored woman, there's a lot of things going on in my country right now that are standing out. Every time I go on social, I'm like being bombarded with how I should feel. And I think I've seen even my clients have pivoted off of social a lot and gone on to like the typical social media, which is like Facebook, Instagram, right? I've seen people pivot onto TikTok a lot. That's become very prominent for brands, for marketing. And I'm sure the two other ladies on the panel as well. I'm sure that you guys are thinking about how to use TikTok if you haven't already, and because that's what's making products actually go viral. And yeah, like it's been very different than a year ago or 2 years ago. Like I was watching all my clients pump money into the marketing on specifically Instagram and Facebook. And now it's like, where else can we be? The other thing that I'm sure a lot of people are hearing about these days is Clubhouse. I just joined about 3 weeks ago. It's so cool. Like I highly recommend Clubhouse. I should work for them because I'm like preaching about it all day. But really as an entrepreneur, you get to like pick your interests and you enter these rooms where you can hear people that you maybe look up to. Like the other day, Elon Musk was on Sunday night talking about, you know, aliens and the whole thing with cryptocurrency, and he had the guy come on, and there's so many cool things that you get to experience. And I've been listening to people pitch their businesses live to someone like Grant Cardone, and it's like really exciting, and it minimizes that space. So I think what I've witnessed is the gap between people in power positions and everyday people that are just trying to build their businesses has decreased immensely. A year ago, I would have never imagined that I could tune in and potentially pitch my business idea to, you know, someone as prominent as, you know, Ty Lopez and all these guys. So that's been a big change that I've witnessed, and it's exciting to see that happen.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. So we have just a few more minutes left. So maybe Claudia, a couple minutes to you with one question, and then Jenn for a couple more minutes, and then we'll wrap up. So Claudia, maybe if you had to do something different in your business, if you had to start it all over again, what changes would you make?
Oh, if I was going to do it all over again, based on what I've learned in CPG, like this is specific to CPG, so consumer packaged goods, I would say that I wouldn't try to chase profit. When I started business, I had stores, I had shops and cafes and like a tea company, and everything operated in the and so now things, it's so much a numbers game. It's about driving volume. And so, you know, when I do projections now, you know, I fearlessly go into the red. and a few years ago, I mean, my husband's like an accountant, right? So doing that was a huge jump for me. So I think I'd tell myself in the past that to be a little bit more be okay with doing that understanding that, you know, it is a risk, but I mean, like owning a house is a risk. Like there's liability to everything, and that you know, that if you totally believe in it, it's not what you're going to pitch to the bank, but absolutely, if you're in deep, you know, and you've got momentum and want to run faster, you've got, you know, I would tell myself to do that. And everyone, don't take my advice and risk everything. But it's I just think that I see now, especially in beverage, how important it is to do that. And, you know, through BevNet, like BevNet and Nosh, which a lot of CPG would follow, you just like hear stories upon story of you know, entrepreneurs who, you know, they don't make profit until, you know, year 5. I mean, I was making it in year 2, and I'm like, shame on me. I should have taken more risk. Like, why was I giving the government, you know, money on that?
Yeah.
That should have gone to marketing, you know. So just taking a bit more chance and trying to, you know, being more open to that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Oh, thanks a lot for sharing that. Jenn, over to you. It's just a very simple question, maybe. And again, I got just a couple of minutes because we got to wrap up soon. But how do you spend your day? Like, how many hours a week do you work? What time do you wake up? What time do you finish for the day? Or is it 24/7? Maybe you can just give people an idea as to what your day's like.
So I've been a lot more truthful about this and open now that I'm not in that sort of sadly admitting that while building this for the first 3 years, I had to work a full-time job in order to cover my mortgage and pay my bills. So, and not taking obviously a salary, because I was essentially just testing the market. And like Claudia just mentioned, that was like a massive risk, right? Like, is this going to work? We're just going to find out. And so would be working every weekend and every evening on Cheekbone Beauty for probably just as many hours as I was working my full-time job. So sadly, that was just way too many hours, completely unsustainable. I do not recommend that. When I finally was able to leave that full-time job in August of 2019, I literally like collapsed for that week. Thankfully, I was on vacation in Italy, so that was a nice place to collapse. But coming back and just doing this all in was the best decision I could possibly ever make. And so grateful that I now have, again, not pretending that I have real work-life balance, but a little bit more, that this is just my main focus. I don't have to be focusing on driving sales for another company, that I can just do it for mine. And, striving to continue to put as much as I possibly can every single day into the business, but then also realizing the importance of all of those things that come along with being a mom and a wife. So taking care of my family at the same time. So now I have more balance. I still work I know every entrepreneur does work way more than someone who has a typical 9 to 5, but working on it for sure. Excellent.
Well, I want to thank you all for being on here, taking the time to share about yourself, your companies. My name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca. The panel: Claudia, Marion, founder and CEO at KITE, founder and president Stork and Dove and Boons Brands. We have Jenn Harper, founder and CEO of Cheekbone Beauty Cosmetics Inc., and Sunandini Verma, founder and CEO at Amrev Media. I want to thank the three of you for sharing your time and for everyone to be here and be watching the event today. Hope you enjoyed it. We're running a number of events that I'll just share a few with you shortly, but the event was presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and powered by eventlogic.ca, logic with a K.ca. You'll get an email thanking you for being on here. Give us some feedback, how you liked it, what you didn't like, how you felt it went. And I want to thank also all the speakers as well for sharing their thoughts and experience and information with you, the attendee. We're always looking for speakers, exhibitors, sponsors at all our events. If you're interested, feel free to connect with me, or you can visit eventlogic.ca. I want to thank the team also today. There's Alex, Rachel, Anne, Jesse, and Sandra for putting this all together. And we have the Canadian Virtual Sell Your Business Conference that happens on Thursday, February 18th. We have the Canadian Virtual President's Conference that happens on Thursday, February 25th. So make sure to register for those events. You can get information about those by visiting TorontoJobs.ca/news. That's NEWS, or you can visit TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca or eventlogic.ca for more information as well. And if you have an event that you'd like someone to run for you, you can reach out to us because we will be able to help you out with any virtual event that you might have. And hopefully when the live events come back, we'll all be able to go to trade shows like 2 or 3 of you have mentioned as well. And again, thank you very much for being on, and thank you to all of you for watching, and have a great day.